Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lids, and we're back for some more Gwent, and today we're playing the brand new Between a Rock and a Hard Place seasonal event, which has a new rule set that we've never seen before. At the start of every round, we will get 4 rocks spawned into every row, so there is very limited board space. But with this deck, that isn't a problem. So let's go give it a look. So today we'll be playing a Syndicate lined pockets deck that is all about getting a bunch of bounty on our opponent's cards and then using some coin spenders to destroy those units that have bounty, and in doing so, get some coins back, continue to deal damage, rinse, repeat. So, let's start off with the ways that we get bounty, and perhaps the most reliable way is with Witchfinder, because every turn she'll give us more bounty. Then we also have a bunch of special cards that can give us bounty, with things like Hysteria, things like conditionally, we can also get some bounty coming from Purge, as long as we get the death blow on it. And then Professor, at least one source of bounty in this case. And then from there, we have a little bit of bounty support with Vigilantes. Every time we put bounty on a unit, we get a little bit of damage on it as well. But in terms of our big spenders for cards that we actually want to use to remove that bounty, we have things like, well, again, Professor technically can do it, but that's all in one fell swoop. In terms of more sustained damage to bounty units, Scoundrel, which I suppose actually does also have bounty as well that he puts on, but even after you get rid of that initial unit, can still deal damage to units that have bounty. So that's one option. You have Freak Show, who can deal damage to cards whether or not they have bounty, so this is really your most reliable coin spender for dealing damage. Then you also have the Executioner, who does bleed, or as long as the unit has bounty, then it turns into damage. So again, definitely prefer to go after cards that have bounty in this case. And then another one that is not quite as reliable with the Bare-Knuckle Brawler, because he does not distinguish between which card he damages, just goes after the highest card, no matter what, whether it has bounty or not. And then you can, in addition to that, use Junior to deal damage to a unit when you play him, and we do not have Devotion, so you do need to have this be a card that is boosted. But if a card is at 3 or less power, then you can use that fee to destroy that unit. And we also have Graden, which, if our opponent has a super highly boosted, or just in general really high base power card that has bounty on it, that we would just never have enough coins to actually deal enough damage to destroy it, use Graden, destroy it once it has the bounty, and get boost from it as well, which is pretty amazing. And that's really the gist of it, is just get the bounty, deal the damage, and once you destroy the cards that have the bounty, get more coins, rinse, repeat. And outside of that, we do have one Coerced Blacksmith, so if you find yourself in need of using your coins for other purposes, boosts, then you can use them for that. And of course, we also have our leader ability, which is another source of boosts, or rather of coin generation as well. And when it comes to using those crimes for generating coins and putting the bounty on, we do also have Sir Skewertooth, so you can put him ideally on the board at the very beginning, and you probably want to use a couple leader ability charges to at least get the 2 coins to get that immunity, and then you have a nice safe engine that gets boosted up whenever you play the crimes. And so there's a look at the deck. Combination of crimes for coin generation and tons of damage and removal, and then a little bit of boost with either that Coerced Blacksmith or Sir Skewertooth. So let's go see it in action. Alright, so going up against monsters here, and we'll go first. Alright, so looking for a combination of cards that can give bounty to our opponent's units, and then cards that can deal damage to those units. So lots of bounty from Caleb, some bounty, kind of sort of, from Professor. Can destroy a bounty unit altogether with Graden, some damage to them with Scoundrel, do some boost with Blacksmith, but that's not as much what I think we'd be looking for here. Vigilantes, yeah, some bounty support, but we are very reliant on Caleb right now. So I think we might swap you out and just try to find another way to give bounty. That is not it. Okay, so need to be kind of protective of Caleb here, because without him, we could get in a lot of trouble. Now, granted, that Vigilantes could have been a good first turn play, especially when we're on blue coin and don't have anything to go after right now. But in the interest of pursuing something, I mean, we could go Oneiromancy into that, or Royal Decree into that if we really wanted to. But alternatively, Skewertooth is not a terrible first turn play, as long as you have a decent number of crimes in your hand, but we actually don't have that many. But don't love that either. We might be looking at an Oneiro into, yeah, maybe the very card that we just mulliganed out. Obviously, we do have bigger cards, yes, but for the most part, we'd like to, I think, lead off with something a little bit smaller so that we don't immediately give something for our opponents to try to answer. Okay, Bruck's a little surprised. Is it going to be a Thrive deck, then? Don't think it's going to be vampires, not when they're force of nature. So, I mean, we could then proceed to, well, Caleb plus Vigilantes is enough to drop you down to 1. It's not enough to destroy you. Could Professor, but that's definitely overkill. So, yeah. I think we are looking at Caleb here. And as I was saying, he is crucially important, so do want to be kind of careful with him on the board. Maybe we get the Blacksmith down here on our next turn if possible, although we'd like to get somebody who can deal damage with those bounties. Want to make sure you stay safe. Okay, like the Damsel potentially could take Caleb out, but it would take a little bit of time to make that happen. So I think now we do go for... Technically, you would move the bounty to someone else. Oh, wait a second. What happened to our other spenders? I mean, yes, we can destroy you with Professor, but then we lose this bounty, which I'd rather not do. We lose the bounty if we use you. You... Okay, I mean, I guess we're going into... I realized that didn't have something like an Executioner, for example. Probably all we need here. Or even you, to be honest, but use Executioner. Damage you. Get enough coins back to apply another bounty, and yes, it'll deal some damage to you. In general, I don't love hitting Thrive units, because it makes it easier for them to trigger that Thrive. Actually, we could have gone, and probably should have gone, Stratagem / Leader ability to take you out before they had the chance to boost you up any further, but alas, we can do that on our next turn. Okay, they're going to consume which... okay, I'm not thrilled about that. And then they go after Vigilantes? Okay, sure. So now, in that case... just need one stinking damage. One stinking damage, and oddly enough, it's kind of hard to come by. Turned out we kind of needed that Executioner a lot. Again, Professor is overkill. I really don't want to use it on 1-point unit. We could get Scoundrel out, and then we do have a card that can hit all the bounties we'd like. We might have to do that here. I think we do. Okay, it is, well. Looks a little familiar. Would put a bounty on you and destroy you. And actually, tell you what. We will. Because it is still on net worth the coins. Okay, Necker Warrior. So that's going to turn into a Thrive card. And that means we would like to go after you too. And we can do that with Slander is probably the most efficient way. We don't technically need to spend the coins there. And yeah, Caleb, he costs 3 coins, right? I mean, he's on the board, so part of me is like, well, you should use him because he's there. But on the other hand, if I do that, then we can do this. And actually, yeah, you still had 7 base power. So we are definitely maxed out there from a coin standpoint. So we could put a bounty on you with Caleb if we really wanted to. We could then use 1 leader ability charge and destroy you. Is that overkill? We have other ways to... we can get a lot more coins with line of credit on our next turn. Sure. Sure. We'll go for it. We'll get aggressive. Okay, no pass. So that is our aggression paying off there. And it means we'll win round 1. Okay, so we get our Echoed Oneiro, Junior, who is another potential spender, and if they are doing a bunch of Thrive boosting, then that is perhaps not a bad counter to that, because we do not have Devotion. Obviously, we have Oneiro. So that means that we do really want to be using him against a boosted card. Purge, I mean, we're kind of looking for bounty here, to be honest. We've spent some of our crimes, and we still don't have that many in hand, so I might dump Skewertooth. And, okay, now we have more coin sustenance. But we are, I think, still looking for some bounties here to capitalize. / spenders, potentially even. Okay, there's at least a crime. So we did play one more card than our opponent, which means we could dry pass here. I mean, I think we've established their Thrive, which usually takes up a lot of space. So, on the other hand, on one hand, that means that they're not going to have a lot of room, so supposedly, they wouldn't be that effective in a long round, because they just would run out of room to play those Thrive cards. On the other hand, Thrive usually is good in a long round. I would think that, Scratch-A-Lot could still be effective, even with limited board space, if we keep that alive. But we could, it's a little bit hard to put the bounty on him, because he's going to get replayed and reset his statuses. But Junior might be able to take him out, though, nonetheless. So I think we can settle for a long round. I think we can still settle for a long round. Okay, man trap. So, I mean, yes. Definitely looking a whole lot like Thrive here. Runestone's a little bit odd. Okay, but they'll win round 2, of course. Okay, and so we have a potential spender with the Brawler. Now, this cannot specifically target a given card. It only goes after whatever the highest one is, so that is potentially significant. If we're trying to go after the card that has bounty on it, then it might be kind of tough to make that work. But if there's only 1 or 2 cards on the board at a time, then he works fine. So he's potentially something that could help us out there from a coin spending standpoint. We still don't have that much bounty sustenance unless we break out Oneiro into Witchfinder. So I'm not sure how effective Vigilantes is really going to be. I mean, yes, we have some bounty, of course, but tell you what. There's more bounty. Okay, Freak Show gives us a more reliable spender. So yeah, I think that is definitely better than the Brawler at the very least. So we have good spenders. I think we will likely go Oneiro into Witchfinder. Okay, Cave Troll. It's obviously a little tricky to break through that. But it is still potentially a possibility. And if we put a bounty on you, then we could use Graden to just destroy you in one fell swoop, so maybe we do that. But I think if we go Witchfinder, Oneiro into Witchfinder on this turn, then we automatically get the bounty on you. And then we can just go straight into Graden on our next turn, and we want to get Witchfinder out here early, so I think that makes sense. I think that is the best course of action here. Give us some coins as well, we'll just spend these. Bounty on you. That gives us a free way to set up Graden, and good removal, good boost, and obviously they have some stuff they're trying to hide there. Yeah, and it's Scratch-A-Lot, and that makes sense. So I think what we do is we remove you with or we remove Cave Troll here, and then it's going to be Junior to destroy Scratch-A-Lot on their next turn, assuming that they use Disorder ability. If they don't, then it's going to get harder. But let's go with this. Wait, hold on, do we have enough coins before I do this? No, we don't. Good thing. Good thing you can right-click to cancel out. Now we can. Everything is fine. Everything is fine. Lots of coins from the bounty as well, so that's useful. And the bounty goes on Scratch-A-Lot, but because they're probably going to replay Scratch-A-Lot here, that means that we are probably going to lose this bounty. And there's their scenario as well. Okay. Do they replay Scratch-A-Lot? Not at the moment. Not at the moment. In which case, yeah, with that immunity, pretty hard to do anything to you. I think we'll go Vigilantes here in that case, and that means we'll get some free damage on the Damsel, and it's just, in general, a good long-term setup option for us. So we, at this point, really just don't want the bounty on Scratch-A-Lot. mean, we could destroy you with... Could have destroyed you with Junior, but I would like to at least have the option of getting rid of Scratch-A-Lot, assuming that they at some point choose to go this route. Yeah, what does Oneiro give them, though? Okay. Eltibald. We put a bounty on you. What do we... Ah, okay, here it is. Eltibald plus Scratch-A-Lot is a combo that gives them a lot of damage. Okay, decent setup. I mean, Vigilantes was a nice little luxury, but not a necessity. And now, more importantly, we can truly take you out. And so I think we would very much like to do that. Now, there's a chance that they have a Renew or something like that, which is Sabbath even, to get Scratch-A-Lot back. Hoping that that is not something they're about to use here, but we may be about to find out. Either way, we will use you and destroy you. And then we could even destroy the Damsel, which is a Thrive card, so it would gain value over time, so I think we might as well. Then that means Witchfinder is going to put the bounty on Eltibald, which could set up a Hysteria heal on our next turn. Okay, it's Peller to Purify. Well, I mean, guess what? You're getting that bounty back from Witchfinder at the end of our turn anyway. So we kind of have a free turn to work with here. We don't want to use Hysteria in that case. And we could Professor to just take out Peller and get a little more coins from the bounty. We really wanted to, but I think that's maybe not all that necessary. What if we use this as an opportunity to get Freak Show down? Because he's not urgently needed, but then they have several things here that they'd like to address, and they can't address all of them at the same time, and so that means we, on our next turn, might just be able to get some more coins and take advantage of Freak Show. We have 6 coins here. I mean, we could just take you out altogether, but we'd kind of like to wait until you get the bounty, because you are about to get a free bounty. So we might as well. It's a little greedy, but we might as well, right? Gonna put it on Freak Show. I mean, that's understandable. Ooh, do you have Dominance? You don't, thankfully. But now we can Purge, or rather, Hysteria, can we not? Because you already have a bounty, so the damage will be doubled. So that should... I mean, technically, that's going to give us a whole bunch of coins anyway, so we could have spent first with Freak Show. They realize there's no way they can catch us, so they forfeit. Alright, so going up against Nilfgaard here. And we'll go first. Alright, so let's see. We want to get a combination of bounty setting and coin spenders that can capitalize upon that bounty, and we actually have a whole bunch of that. Might even want to save some of these guys for a later round in that case. What if we dump one of you? And I mean, even Graden can use bounties to a lesser extent, or at least just in one big burst. Vigilantes can help support us, especially if we're using Witchfinder as well. That could give us a lot of free damage. Not going to be as much in need of these guys when we have Witchfinder, which we will probably play in this round, but I mean, this is also a great combo as well. So I think we can make this work. And if we're going first, which we are, I think the way that we start things off is likely by putting down a Vigilantes, because that way, once we do start using our bounty stuff, that gives us a little bit of free damage. Okay, light cavalry, so soldiers. Now they do have their leader ability, which I imagine as soon as they see Witchfinder, they're going to want to use that on her. I don't love that, but we could do it on Scoundrel. Wouldn't put the bounty on you, but I'd put the bounty on somebody else, and then use this, and this would likely give us enough coins or leader ability as well to take out whatever they spawn in there, especially once the Vigilantes damage gets factored in as well. So I think we might do this. Well, that was easy. Okay, another light cavalry. We would like to get rid of these guys. And they're, yeah, gonna lock Scoundrel, and I deliberately played you because I thought you might have been a little bit of an easier sacrifice than Witchfinder, because we have other coin spenders now. Granted, he had 12 base power, which means they have a lot of damage they can do with these light cavalry, because these only hit the most recent unit that you played. If they destroy this guy, then, and we don't play any other units, then they stop dealing damage altogether. So we could go with the Vigilantes here. It would pass the damage off from you onto the Vigilantes, actually immediately destroy the Vigilantes for what it's worth. So I think in that case, what we're going to want to do is probably Slander on one of them, and use that to weaken them up and get that bounty a little proactively without playing a unit. Now, the Vigilantes will still hit you now. And that means we can use Executioner to immediately take you out. Or you can make it easier on us. Okay. So, in that case, I think we might need to Executioner, take you out, but then might need to bleed on you, so that will still hit through your armor, and it won't immediately destroy you, but at the end of their next turn it will. You're going to be a little bit tougher. But I think we need to settle for that. To destroy you, bleed, still go for it on you. Or do we have other intentions to take you out? I think we at least get one on you. Start hitting through that armor. Tell you what, go 2. So then if we do get a bounty on you, that means the damage from Vigilantes will be enough to destroy you. They pass. Wow. Okay, that was a bold strategy. I don't really think it's going to work out for them. Because we can destroy you. We go Hysteria. Still have more points than us in that case, but I mean, we can go a few cards down if we have to. It's still very early in the round. So, yeah, I think they were just relying on these light fiend, light cavalry to prevent us from playing anything else, and I'm afraid that's just not the case, really. So if we do that, question now is just what are we going to use as a bit of a throwaway here, and that is probably still going to be Vigilantes. Yes, it is really strong, as we saw. This was probably the most important card that we played in this round, but I think everything else we would still like to save here, and is more important to save. Yeah, I think so. I think so. I mean, we're already maxed out on coins as well, so that's not going to matter. So that means we'll win round 1 here. Okay, and we do draw into a couple more spenders, so I think that's good, because we lost a few in round 1, so we want to make sure that we still have some. Yeah, we technically have 3, if you want to call Graden 1, and that's 4. And Witchfinder is the primary way we're looking to sustain the bounties. Now, she could potentially get locked, so I think we don't want to start around with her. We'd like to start with one of our spenders and maybe force them to commit a lock on one of them, and then she's much safer to play. They might still have more locks still, but I mean, we'll have to play that by ear. Do like line of credit for some coin sustaining stuffs, but I think we leave it at this for now. The rocks do spawn back in. We did play more cards than our opponent in round 1, so I think we will drive past here. And it means there will be, for us, full 10 cards in our hand in round 3, which I think for some people is going to be hard in this event, because in some cases you would run out of board space, but given how most of our cards here are spenders, and then or half of our cards are spenders, and the other half are things to help sustain those spenders that don't necessarily take up board space, I think we'll still be okay. We're going to go Blightmaker for thinning, and that does take up a lot of room, but I suppose in this case, that's not an issue. Okay, so Skewertooth is also an option now at the beginning of the round. But we actually don't have that many crimes in hand here. Not sure how much we need Royal Decree, to tell you the truth. I mean, getting Caleb as an alternative source of bounty sustaining... Yeah. Maybe we use that as our secondary source of bounty sustenance in case Witchfinder does get locked. I think we do still want to try to lead with one of our spenders and see if we can force them to commit a lock there. But, okay. Yeah, I'm not loving the lack of specials here. The lack of crimes. We had a lot in round 1, but most of them are now hanging out in our deck. Okay, War Council. Into Ramon. Now that's taking up a lot of room there. Now remind me, this hits most recent card that we played? Yeah. Once we get up to 5, or once they get up to 5 armor. So not yet at risk of that hitting something, but it will likely happen on their next turn. So I think we might be looking for Skewertooth here. And we do have enough coins for the immunity. Definitely want to see that. Yeah, I think so. I think we do that. Because otherwise next turn it's going to be considerably more difficult to get you in, because you might get hit by this. And that, I'm hoping, will be difficult for them to deal with the immunity. Technically, those light cavalry could still hit it. Heavy cavalry, though, they're loading up on those. So that's going to hit the next unit that we play. For what it's worth, Witchfinder can tank that hit. But we could... This would be one of those cases where I'd kind of like to have a bounty on you preemptively with one of our specials so that we could then go straight into destroying with Graden. But we cannot currently do that. Unless we were to Royal Decree. Now Caleb immediately gets taken out. Professor could, actually. Is that worth... I was going to say Shady Vendor. He would still get his deployability off. Is it worth a Professor here? Honestly, it might be. And then we ignore armor, which we would need the coins to do. Please let me play the Professor, please. There we go. Okay, Nazca Sergeant. That is more difficult to deal with when it comes to bounties, because the boosts... We don't get extra coins for those. We only get coins based on the base power of the card. And the armor, obviously, also is a little bit problematic. You are going to hit, not on this turn, but on our next turn. So this is a little bit of a window of safety. So I think we might want to try to sneak in one of our spenders here, and perhaps the one that we are expecting to get locked. So we could go Executioner here, we could go Tunnel Drill here, I think it's either of them. Why don't we go Tunnel Drill? So I don't think we want to use this immediately anyway. So we'd like to play a crime on the same turn that we start spending all these coins. And that would likely be you. But okay, yeah. We were expecting some lock. So hoping it was going to be this, and only this, but we've now established they have more lock than that. So they're also going to get kind of clogged here. But now we are looking for another spender. And we are, again, still looking for a way to bait this out before we play Witchfinder, because we do want to get Witchfinder out here for the bounties big time. That is pretty important for Graden and eventually one of these two. So I think it's probably the Executioner now, although, no, that gets destroyed by you. Yikes. Okay, in that case, this is a sacrificial lamb of a different variety. Maybe it's Blacksmith. Or we could go Executioner and then use Blacksmith as the lock bait. I guess. Obviously, it's not ideal in either situation, but we're just trying to defend the Witchfinder, but we need to have enough time to actually get her on the board and benefit a bit from that bounty sustenance. Okay, Slave Driver creates another copy of the Heavy Cavalry. Wait, hold on. Where did that battle preparation come from? Excuse me? Huh? That I'm not sure of. But, you already got one from you. Alas. Oh, it was from, War Council, wasn't it? Yeah, that's where it came from. Okay, so we have one turn before this starts hitting stuff, which is, again, going to be an issue. But I think this is where we use Coerced Blacksmith. And this is supposed to be the lock bait, I think. So we could spend some coins here, and honestly, I think we will. Because just about everything that we have left is going to... a little bit reluctant to boost you because you might have a Phantom R, but just about everything we have left is going to give us coins. And we are probably about to lose you as Suspender, so I'll leave some coins here remaining. So we can lead your ability plus Graden, although that's definitely not the next thing we're going to do anyway. But you know, just about, like I said, anything else is going to give us immediate source of coins. Are they? No, they have one more spot worth of board space on. Now 2 on this row there. Okay, so now the only thing that survives being played here would be Witchfinder, for what it's worth. But we do have a way to still generate points with Coerced Blacksmith if this, for some reason, stays unlocked, which I'm surprised they did not do that. So... 6 damage. That means even Witchfinder gets dropped down. I mean, she gets dropped down to 1, but we could then spend coins to boost her back up. So maybe we feel a little bit better about her in that case, and we would at least get a bounty on you. It's not... Well, Graden still works in that case. I think we do it in that situation then. Yes, obviously you get hit pretty hard. Then we do this. And so I expect her to get locked, yes, or one of these two to get locked. They can only lock one of them. And yes, they do go after Witchfinder. She at least got a bounty on, which is important because that means we can at least use Graden to some effect. It's not going to be amazing. Yeah, they have to destroy one of their own cards with the rock. Because they started to clog themselves. Yeah, so now they're trying to destroy this with damage, which it cannot boost itself. So that does make some sense. But now, ooh, we do need a little more coins before we can actually use Graden's ability here. So I think we destroy one of our rocks with Line of Credit. And use that to, do they have anything that is still a threat engine-wise? Not really. So I think we might save Freak Show for the very end. Because we also have Last Say. Yeah, so maybe we use Freak Show at the very end and try to give ourselves some fuel with Line of Credit. But let's do that now. A Line of Credit. It does boost up Skewertooth. And... do we use your boost? No. I think at this point we've established that Freak Show and short-term Graden are more effective coin spenders. We are taking a risk that if they do have a way to immediately shut down Freak Show, then that's an issue. But again, we're planning on using this as our very last play. They're going unitless here, though. That's interesting. Okay, so now it is going to be Graden, and it's going to be melee row. Going to use the tribute, and this is mostly just to destroy a 10-point body. The value of the bounty is not that good. But, and again, I think we'll save our coins here. And Freak Show would be maxed out if we were to play it. We use Line of Credit. I mean, either way. Probably going to be spending coins here on our next turn, so we don't want to play Freak Show on our second to last turn in case one of these is an answer. It's another Thunderbolt, though. Which means you remain unlocked. So I suppose that means we're still boosting. The fact that they've left one spot here in their range row means, again, Vanamar is still a possibility, and that locks, or rather destroys a locked unit. So I think at the very least we'll bump Graden up. If it's a Geralt, then putting all of our boosts on Graden is not a good idea. If it's Vanamar, then we don't want to put too many boosts on a locked unit, but we can, you know, I mean, I guess we already have a 10. So, well, let's not line you up in case it's an Igni. Then we do this. So we're going to save those coins for Freak Show. And they can't beat us, so they'll forfeit. So there's a look at a Syndicate bounty deck for the brand new Between a Rock and a Hard Place seasonal event. If you liked the video, then make sure to hit the like and subscribe button and leave a comment down below to let me know which other cards, archetypes, and factions you'd like us to experiment with next. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you next time.